So they captured Cara Dickey, the woman you see in the picture, the female teacher pedophile who was on the run last month. She outlasted the black dude who running in L.A. They caught him in a few days. She lasted a month. But Cara Dickey, to recap, she was a teacher who had a inappropriate relationship with a 14-year-old boy student, and in that relationship, she kind of encouraged him or attempted him to make a suicide pact with her. Do I believe she's going to kill herself? Absolutely not. But I think she was going to convince him to kill herself. So she goes to jail for about 4 years, a little bit less, and she gets out on parole. Actually, last year, not to February, she was on parole for not even a year. The guidelines of her parole to get out of prison early, because we let pedophiles and rapists get out of jail, but we in New York here, but we keep drug offenders and coke heads and crack heads, keep them locked up for a while. But we let rapists and murderers go free, apparently. But she cut her ankle bracelet, which was a violation of parole, obviously. There was an accusation that she had another victim, but they caught her. But this is the thing that's odd. She was the teacher, wife, mother of 2, I think, or more. Then she turns into the pedophile. She gets locked up, and now she's a lesbian because she ran away with her female lover, who was also a parolee who cut her bracelet as well. And they got found in Illinois and Chicago. She got caught doing prostitution. So her whole story is like the reverse reform whore. Like, you're supposed to do all that, then become the wife and the mother and the teacher, not after. Her situation is just screwed up. But they caught her, Cara Dickey.
A former school teacher who served time for having sex with one of her students is back in police custody this morning.
Cara Dickey had been on the run for more than a month. Daybreak's Mary Fiona is here now with a look at how officials were finally able to find her. Mary?
Well, Melissa and John, after a month of eluding authorities, Cara Dickey is back behind bars this morning. Right now she's in a Chicago jail, but soon she will be extradited back here. This was, we're told, an example of great teamwork. The Buffalo Police Department, U.S. Marshals, and the New York State Parole Department all working together on this case. Dickey, you may recall, served 3 years in state prison before being released on parole. Police were on the lookout for her for some time, about a month in fact, and it turns out she had made her way to Chicago. Dickey was arrested at a motel there with another woman. She was picked up as part of a prostitution ring that officials were investigating.
Well, the circumstances were this. On the 13th of February, Chicago Police Department undercover unit arrested a woman going by an alias. I don't want to give that name out on charges of prostitution. Okay. One of the top priorities of the Marshal Service is going after unregistered sex offenders with the creation of the Adam Walsh Act. The U.S. Marshal Service is the lead agency in tracking down unregistered sex offenders.
Now, Dickey had cut off her electronic monitoring bracelet and left town. That was a month ago. She was arrested without incident in that Chicago motel room with another woman who is also facing charges. And no word at this point when Dickey will be returned here to Buffalo. John and Melissa?
All right, Mary.
A fugitive former teacher is nabbed in the Midwest.
Yeah, and now Cara Dickey, that convicted sex offender who preyed upon her own student, is locked up, waiting to be extradited back to Western New York.
Let's bring in News 4's Brittany Smallwood for the very latest. Brittany.
Jordan and Diana, Cara Dickey will return to Buffalo within the next 30 days, nearly the same amount of time that she was on the run from authorities. After U.S. Marshals searched for Dickey in 4 states, they found her.
We have a very good team of detectives with the Buffalo Police Department, State Parole, U.S. Marshals. There were some very good investigators that were ultimately responsible for making this case successful.
The big break came when Cara Dickey was picked up by the Chicago police on a prostitution charge last Wednesday. She used an alias and was given an appearance ticket on the charge. 3 days later, she was back in handcuffs.
And over the course of those 2 days, we tracked leads and began to receive numerous tips as to her whereabouts in Chicago, which ended up leading us to the arrest yesterday afternoon at the Super 8 motel outside of Chicago to catch an individual that was using an alias that had, fled the jurisdiction, crossed state lines. To catch somebody within a month's time is outstanding work.
Salinas says they followed leads in Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland, Ohio, and Chicago, Illinois before finding her. And coming up in the next half hour, find out what charges dickey will likely face. Reporting live, Brittany Smallwood, News 4 Wake Up.
Teacher and convicted sex offender Cara Dickey has been on the run for over a month, but authorities have finally tracked her down. News 4's Emily Gugamis is following the latest. Emily?
Lou, late yesterday afternoon, U.S. Marshals tracked down Cara Dickey and her partner Candace Brigham. There was a break in the case when days before Dickey was picked up for prostitution and used an alias. She's the ex-teacher, a convicted sex offender found guilty of having sex with one of her students. Cara Dickey was on parole on January 9th when she cut her electronic ankle bracelet and vanished. For the past month, she's been on the run with her partner, Candace Brigham.
Dickey was picked up by the Chicago Police Department on a prostitution charge. She was not arrested. She was given an appearance ticket. However, she used an alias, and she was released.
That was on February 13th. 3 days later, Dickey was back in handcuffs.
And over the course of those 2 days, we tracked leads and began to receive numerous tips as to her whereabouts in Chicago, which ended up leading us to the arrest yesterday afternoon at the Super 8 motel outside of Chicago.
U.S. Marshal of Western New York Charles Salinas says they followed leads in Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland, Ohio, and Chicago, Illinois before finding her.
To catch an individual that was using an alias that had, fled the jurisdiction, crossed state lines, to catch somebody within a month's time is outstanding work.
Dickey violated her parole by cutting off her ankle bracelet. The parole board was also concerned she was having another inappropriate relationship with an underage boy. In addition, Buffalo police issued an arrest warrant for failure to register a new address since Dickey is a sex offender. When Dickey was picked up on the prostitution charge, it was a huge break in the case.
It just goes to show that when you're on the run, you need money. And my suspicion is that, out of money or looking for a way to get her and her counterparts some money to stay on the run.
And Dickey is currently being held at the Cook County Jail in Chicago and will be extradited back to Buffalo within the next 30 days. Reporting live, Emily Gugamis, News 4.
So I guess the little love triangle starts here. The U.S. Marshal Service says in West New York, Cara Dickey and Candace Brigham, a woman from Niagara County who also served time in prison. She was also wanted by the state prison system. The women were being held Sunday night in Chicago Cook County's jail until New York parole officers retrieved them there. Dickey, who is 34, and Candace, who is 25, met while they were doing time in a medium security prison for women in Albany. So they put pedophiles in medium security prisons. They struck up a romantic relationship, the marshal says. Cara Dickey's involvement with the Buffalo News television show is where she revealed the situation. So Cara Dickey called the news, and she was trying to tell them when she would come back and how she would turn herself in. And that's when she gave up the fact that she was with another female who was her lover, but they were around a little the other female's younger brother, which is a violation of Cara Dickey's parole. She can't be around any children, and she shouldn't have been around the female because she's another convict. So basically, they are saying that she ran away with this woman because of their parole situation. She can't be around other convicts, and that's a violation. So, but the thing is odd is when Cara Dickey was arrested on the prostitution charges, they let her go. But it had to have been her girlfriend who snitched and said she gave you the wrong name, and they told her who she really was, and that's how she got caught, because her lover snitched on her. But I don't know, this is odd. Her whole life story or situation is just backwards.